Right, episode 5 of Wine Tasting with Granny. Just going to start off by saying thanks for everyone who's watched our videos so far. We are really enjoying them. If you can give us a little like a little thumbs up, and you can subscribe so you don't miss out on any of our future videos, that'd be great. Last week we said we were going to taste these two Sauvignon Blancs, which we've been tasting with our lunch already. Over to Granny because she knows her stuff.
Well, we've tasted the 8,000 Lakes, which is from Washington State. It's 2017. Now, I'm not especially a fan of Sauvignon Blanc. I often find it too acidic for me, but this is a beautiful wine. Very well made, got an unusual nose to it. I couldn't quite make it out. And then James read the back of the label. It says it also has grassy, and I suppose it might be the grasses. It almost smells earthy to me, but it's lovely flavour. It's a well-made, well-balanced wine. It is absolutely spot on, and it says it's a classic mouth-watering Sauvignon with generous, ripe gooseberry, passion fruit, citrus, zest flavours and subtle grassy aromas. Great as an aperitif or with a range of light dishes, and certainly I think it's, you can have a look at the colour there.
I'll show you the colour again. So
you can, there's a bit more coming up on the nose now than when I press it do, but it's not an especially inviting nose, but on the palate, it is lovely, well balanced wine. It's not acidic, and it is a delight. From nice. Washington State, 8,000 Lakes. Now, Jo last week said she'd chosen this other one because of the label, and we're going to talk about labels in a moment. So the second one is Angele Sauvignon Blanc from France. I'm going to I haven't tasted this one yet,
sorry,
Jo. You're getting a bit ahead of yourself.
Sorry, I'll put those out the way.
Okay. And funny enough, after lunch it's tasting a little bit different. It went beautifully with the chicken. I'm tasting now more acidity coming through on the tongue.
I was tasting that now as well.
So I might change my mind and say I'd go for that one, but I found the other one from France a little bit on the heavy side. Actually, funny enough, when we looked at the Gay Lussac, this one is 13%, and that one, was it 12 or 12.5?
It was 12.
12.
It was 12.
But actually, I felt that the French one was heavier, and I was surprised that the Washington State one we're sampling now.
It definitely tastes a bit that.
Yes, that's what I often find with Sauvignon Blanc. As I've got older, the touch acidic. At lunchtime, I thought it was an absolute delight with the chicken. James gets full marks for chicken lunchtime, by the way, because he did the cooking, and it was delicious.
So what are we saying now we've tasted it again without food? How many stars? Because I would have given it very high with lunch. Yes,
I would have done. I've got to be fair because I'm not a fan of it, but it is. I mean, it's as you would expect a Sauvignon Blanc to be. I think I would give it 4.7.
I absolutely agree. I was going to say that too.
There we go.
But I would say I like it better with food than if you were just like having a glass of wine.
Right, now the second one, Jo chose this because of the label.
It's got a nice lady on it.
There's something quite interesting about this lady, how it comes about. So I have to read you this. La Bell Angele was a famous character of the early 20th century, known for her beauty and joie de vivre and she was the muse of many French Impressionist painters. So there we are. That was Angele, right? And so this wine is from France. Discover the elegant, refreshing, aromatic Sauvignon Blanc with its delicate aroma of black currant leaf and gooseberry, excellent as an aperitif and with seafood and goat's cheese. I liked it. I didn't feel it was aromatic as some Viogniers, but it was a little bit heavy for me. Certainly it's smooth, it's not acidic, but I was surprised that this was less percentage, 12%, because it just felt heavier altogether, this wine. Let's have another nose and see if it's any different now. I can smell, that's what's putting me off on the nose now, I can smell sulphur. And of course you are allowed sulphur in winemaking, and your good winemakers, you hardly can detect sulphur at all, really good wine. And this isn't a bad example, but that's one thing I'm probably better at picking up than any other thing on wine is flipping sulphur, and that's often it often puts me off wine if I can smell the sulphur, which I didn't smell before so much, but I am getting it now. And let's have a taste of this one then.
I'll just show you the colour as well. It's a slightly darker colour than the other one.
It's tasting again different. I can taste sort of what I think you would call your gooseberries, typical Sauvignon Blanc. That they often say gooseberries. Not that I can actually, when people describe Sauvignon Blanc gooseberries, I can never get the gooseberries myself. I can get it's a fruit, but it doesn't smell like gooseberries. But that's I am getting that typical Sauvignon Blanc flavour of that. It's not one it's pleasant, but it's not one I rave about. But that's just my opinion. We're all different and entitled to. Some people will rave about it. I think this is a superb example, but it's not exactly my cup of tea. I'm glad we've tried it.
I agree. There's something. I don't know. It's not that I don't like it, because it's more than drinkable, but I don't like it as much as the other one. Which I always, because I don't know what I'm talking about, because they're both Sauvignon Blancs, I didn't realise there'd be that much of a difference between them, because I would just expect them to taste really similar, but they don't.
I would give this 4.2.
4.
Right.
Yeah.
And just to talk about labels, well, Jo chose this one last week. She said, we've got to taste this one next week. Look at the label. And it's quite true. Of course, when you're going in a supermarket, who isn't drawn by a good label? It's part of marketing. They're not fools, the people who want to push wines on us, right? So if they're clever, they will choose a really good label. But Jo goes and looks at the front. First thing Granny does in a supermarket is turn it round and look at the back. Now, at the back, if you see the word cépage, that means the vines. So they might say, not everybody does it, but more and more people are doing it. And so it might say cépage, say it was a red wine, Merlot, Grenache and Syrah, right? And so those are your 3 grape varieties. So it will tell you that. It will also tell you a bit about the wine. Some people are better at giving honest descriptions than others. You might get really flowery language and you think, oh, that sounds all right. When you get it home, it's blooming muck. So you need to sort of, read between the lines sometimes, or have a trustworthy wine merchant. Because if you haven't tasted the wine yourself, if you go to a good wine merchant, you would say, look, I haven't tasted this. Could I have your opinion? Have you tasted it? What's your opinion? And if you know that they're okay, and then you'll be guided by them. You have to be. That's what a wine merchant is there for, to help you, right? I will also look at percentage of alcohol. and just where it's come from. If it's the south of France, whether it's if it's like say Aligotti, there's all sorts of different regions, and it all impacts on the wine. So that's our tasting for today, folks.
Should we just show you? This is the one from Washington, and this is the one. Oh, it's from France, isn't it?
The Washington State one is 8,000 lakes, right? Sauvignon Blanc, 2017, and that when we had it with food, that was a delicious Sauvignon Blanc. I gave it at lunchtime. I would have given it 4.8 easily. It was really, really pleasant. They've both altered since we've had lunch, and they're tasting different again. That one, as I say, 4.2. Joe's given it 4. So those are our ratings. So that's perhaps next. If people let us know, we could do next week an interesting, doing the same thing again with Merlot. One from Australia and one from Brazil. Now the Brazilian one looks really interesting. That would be a good comparison. Or we could do a white Appassimento and a red Appassimento. Perhaps people, if you're watching these, if you actually like to let us know which you preferred to see, we could arrange that. So we'll hold fire and not say what we're going to do for next week's tasting. If you'd like to let us know, then that's what we'll lay on. So we could do a comparative Merlot tasting, one from Australia and one from Brazil, and or a Passamento, one white from Sicily and the other, I'm trying to remember where it's from. It could be from Argentina, it could be from Italy. I'm not quite sure. It's Mapu, and they're both using a Passamento. Passamento is where they allow the grapes to dry out a bit, so they've got more sort of shriveled up and things, and it brings an extra richness to the wine. It needn't necessarily be sweet because the white's dry, but it's that's the method that used, and it makes an interesting example. So just let us know.
Yeah.
Hope you've enjoyed today's session.
Thanks
Bye, folks. Bye.